Is it possible to do a reenactment without the volunteers, without these guys that are involved in these reenactment groups?
No, they are really the lifeblood to the reenactment, and also they do a lot to help the park out with information and living history programs that they do with the school groups and things throughout the year. And the reenactment is just one of the many ways that they help. They bring the battle to life so that people kind of understand the movements of the troops and the movements of the lines, which is totally different than the way that they fight battle today and the way that they look at warfare today and the way that they conduct themselves and the way that they set up camp and just the things that they use, such as this tent and how they would set up camps and things are much different back then than it is today. And it kind of gives people understanding of what life was like in the 1800s.
What is your impression of the reason these guys do this, as far as the reenactors, guys and gals?
Well, some of them are very interested in history in general, but then some of them are also very connected to it because they either have relatives who fought in the Civil War or fought in the area. And a lot of the reenactors that I know personally, they have family who fought in the Civil War or fought in Arkansas, and so they feel connected to history whenever they do the reenactments.
What is the response of the public? Have you got much feeling for what people came away with when they saw this?
They're always very interested and very surprised about the conditions and surprised that this is how it was in the 1800s. It also makes them more interested to find out more about the Civil War and more about the battles that happened here in Arkansas. Most of the things that you learn in your textbooks in school is everything that happens east of the Mississippi, and in most cases all the battles west of the Mississippi are kind of forgotten about unless you take Arkansas history. But still, it's not as significant because it's not in your regular U.S. history as often.
How about those cannons firing? Is that pretty earth-shattering? Does that really shake you a little bit when it goes off?
Oh, it takes a little while to get used to hearing it. One of the most unique things that I've noticed since I've been here and reading old letters and things, people in Fort Smith, Arkansas actually heard the Battle of Prairie Grove, and windows rattled in Fort Smith. And of course, they rattled in Fayetteville. They rattled in there, but
that was a whole lot of ordnance that they used that day.
yes, there were several cannons on both sides. The Union had better artillery in the fact that they had better cannons. They had more rifle bore cannons, and which could shoot longer and could be put farther back so they wouldn't have been hit by the Confederates. The Confederates only had 2 rifle bore cannons, and the cannons for the Confederacy had trouble maneuvering them around the ridge and in the tree line, so a lot of them were put off back on the Cane Hill Fayetteville Road, so they were farther away from the initial action, so they didn't have much effectiveness.
I was doing about 50 miles an hour.
What I've read on this too.
I just slid right on by.
That's what I was wondering if they were pulling.
Well, always they're supporting what I've read. North had a bunch of cannons.
I bet.
And they still got the
We're at the reenactment in Pennsylvania on original ground at Gettysburg, and there were 32,000 reenactors there. I've experienced seeing reenactors for a mile or more lined up 4 deep. So I can certainly fathom that.
What does that make you feel like when you see that many guys? I mean,
it was very inspiring because I was in Pickett's charge. I was the right guide of the 28th North Carolina that guided on the copse of trees. And as I went over the hill, my colonel said, "Look behind you." As I looked behind me, you could see the battle flag, just the tips waving. And as it came over, a wave of people behind us, a mile long, came over. And then we advanced and we looked back, and then another wave come over. 3 waves a mile long. Now that sounds incredible, but it's true.
Those people had to really believe in what they were doing then.
Well,
You
yes.
couldn't just walk out on a Sunday and have a good time.
No, you're fighting for your home, mainly. Your wives, sisters, sweethearts, daughters.
How do they decide who dies and who gets shot out there when you're doing the reenactment and things like that?
Well, it's not always the same. Sometimes you're in reenactments and they will come along and put a piece of paper in your cartridge box or mark one of your cartridges. So when you pull your cartridge out and you've got a different colored cartridge, you know you're going to be hit the next time.
Oh, okay.
But if someone's pointing a gun right at you and you can see down the barrel, you know, it's kind of evident that you ought to be taking the hit. Or someone like myself will come up and say, when this cannon goes off, I want this whole section to go down.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to try to start getting.
So the NCOs and the officers control that somewhat.
That makes him
He doesn't move his hands. He doesn't move his feet. Right, he's more loud. You're gonna still be smelling. She had to think about it just to make sure it was okay or if it was an insult. Try your inhale to the feet. What do you say?
So the guys really get along with each other and enjoy your time together out here.
Well, it really is. They talk about esprit de corps and camaraderie, and I think that we have a whole lot of that in reenacting.
You don't have north-south issues, things like that. Then there's a camaraderie between both camps. Then.
No. Well, let me explain something. Here in Arkansas, most of the Federals are really us.
Okay.
It's all, we have divided up and we fight each other for the show. But if you go back east, there's a demarcation, there's a real line there where there are northern Yankees in the blue, and there's no fraternization between the camps then, because
really?
it's more of the real deal. Those people, they act in camp and everything else completely different than the stuff that we're used to.
Really?
Not that we don't, we're not wanting to secede from the Union or anything, but there is a difference. We don't fraternize with them back east.
Isn't that interesting? Huh. So you enjoy doing this then?
I love it. I've done it, like I said, for a long time, and I hope to do it even longer. Me and my friend here, Tom Morphew,
Okay.
is we are the Prairie County Avengers as well as doing this.
The what county?
Prairie County Avengers is a group that came out, a military group that came out of Prairie County, Arkansas. We do Civil War music and minstrel music. We've done it all over the South. We've got 4 CDs out in all the battle parks.
Well.
So we really enjoy doing the reenacting, but we're doing the Civil War music as well.
Okay. Now the Prairie County, where is that?
It's just east of Little Rock, between Little Rock and Memphis. It's on a flat alluvial plain.
Yeah.
Comes off the Mississippi.
Up there at the mosquitoes.
Yeah, this morning's
Big serious mosquitoes
Desert.
out there.
Yeah, Desert Arc, and what's the other one?
Lone Oak.
Lone Oak, all those places.
We had soldiers, of course, from Arkansas and Missouri, Texas, Louisiana, Kansas, and Oklahoma, and we even had some from Colorado and Mississippi.
Any of those guys paid that you know of?
To pay to be part of the reenactment. We have a $5 registration fee. That's to help provide for the wood and the hay and the supplies the reenactors get. And they have to sign a release so that in case they get hurt, we have information to